Okay, lesson 7 workbook is proportion word problems, and basically it's just a review of how to solve all these proportion word problems. So we're really going to focus on the 3 things you need. The first question is about Amanda, and she's following a banana shake recipe that serves 16 people, and then they basically list the recipe. The question is, if Amanda wants to make banana shakes for her family of 4 using this recipe, how many bananas does she need? So we need to know how many bananas she needs to make it for 4 people. So you're going to refer to the recipe and only look at what's important. So the question is talking about bananas. So that would be the first thing I would underline. Oops, sorry. So it's 8 bananas. And the other thing you're talking about is how many bananas for 4 people. So the second thing I'd underline is the 16 servings. So I have the ratios basically underlined, and now I put all that information in the if statement. So I'm just going to start out with 8 bananas, 16 servings. So that's your relationship. 8 bananas is 16 servings. I'm going to immediately go over to the right-hand side, and I'm going to write my labels so they match. And I'm going to put my X on what I don't know. How many bananas? So that's where my X is. And the only other number I have, it's saying how many bananas for 4 people. So that would be 4 servings. Okay, to solve this, there's many ways you can solve it, but we're going to get to the point that we're always, or a lot of times we're just going to multiply across and divide. Many kids mistakenly think across is this way. So instead of saying me saying multiply across and divide, I will now say multiply diagonally and divide. So the 2 D's. So multiplying this, 8 times 4 is 32. Divide by the other number, which is 16, and that would be an answer of 2. Okay, the next problem says Carlos is on the school track team. He takes 54 minutes to run 6 miles. Assuming that he runs at a constant pace for all 6 miles, how long did it take him to run 2 miles? So we're going to go up to the question. We're going to see if we can find a ratio statement. Right here, it says he takes 54 minutes to run 6 miles. That's your comparison. So now that I found it, I'm going to put it in the if box. So the information says if it takes 54 minutes to run 6 miles, so that's my ifs, my situation. Before I go on, I'm going to immediately go over to the other sides and make sure the labels are the same, because remember, proportions are basically equal ratios. And the question then is asking me, how long does it take him? Long would be the time. So I don't know minutes, but it says how long to run 2 miles. So this number right here would be a 2, because how long would it be 2 miles? Okay, to solve this, we can always multiply diagonally. So we could multiply that, the 2 and the 54, and then divide by 6. And if you do that, the answer is 18. Okay, next question says Ming watched TV for 8 hours on Saturday and saw 56 food commercials. How many food commercials did she watch each hour? So I'm going to first start out by underlining my comparison or ratio statement. Right here it says Ming watched TV for 8 hours on Saturday and saw 56 food commercials. So we're going to go right up here and say if 8 hours has 56 food commercials, then the labels over here have to match. This is going to be hours and commercials. We don't know how many food commercials, so that's our X. And the question is how many food commercials each hour. That means how many food commercials in 1 hour. Okay, we're going to multiply these numbers diagonally. So you're going to multiply those and then divide by the other number, divide by 8, and your answer is 7. Next one says a Frank family from Minnesota, USA is going to Britain for their summer vacation. They exchanged $50 for 27 British pounds. At that exchange rate, how many British pounds could they get for $75? The ratio comparison sentence there is right here. They exchanged $50 for 27 pounds. So right there, I'm going to write my number up here. So $50 brought them 27 pounds. And this is kind of a funky sign for pounds. And then the labels are going to match across. So I'm just going to go ahead and put it in my labels. And the question is, how many British pounds? We don't know that number for $75. So up here is going to be the $75. Okay, this one you really cannot do in your head. So you're going to be forced to multiply the diagonal numbers. So you're going to take 75 times 27, And then don't forget to divide by the other number, which is the 50, and your answer is 40.5. Next question says, construction of the new mall was costing about $3 million a day. At this rate, how long would it take to spend $96 million? So we have to look and see if we can see a ratio statement. Right here it says construction of a new mall was costing $3 million a day. And so that's this if statement. So I'm going to start with here being 3. I'm going to put an M for million to remind me. So 3 million a day. That would be in 1 day. So now I'm going to transfer my labels. This would be money in millions, and this would be days. The question says, how long would it take to spend 96 million? How long, we don't know the days, to spend 96 million. That would be the other number. Okay, we can go ahead and multiply the numbers diagonally and then divide by 3, which is 32. Okay, so it says Alfonsi and McKenna drove to Canada. The speed limit for a road they were on in Canada was posted at 90 kilometers per hour. Alfonso was driving 65 miles per hour. McKenna is a runner and told Alfonsi that a 5-kilometer race is 3.1 miles long. Were they driving over or under the speed limit? This one's a challenge question because there's a lot of numbers thrown at us and we have to know which one is the important one to work with. So we do know the speed limit is 90 kilometers per hour. So that is actually a unit rate. So this is how fast you can go, 90 kilometers in 1 hour. We don't know, the only thing we know is he was driving 65 miles per hour. So that's another unit rate. This is how fast he was going. Basically, we have to see, is that more? How does the 65 meters and the 90 kilometers compare? So if you look, it says McKenna is a runner, told Alfonso that 5 kilometers is 3.1 miles long. This is a statement that's comparing the kilometers to miles. So that's the one I want to start with. So if 5 kilometers is 3.1 miles, okay, so the labels over here has to be kilometers and miles, okay. The only other miles we have is we know he's driving 65 miles an hour. So I'm going to put the 65 here to find out if he drives 65 miles, how many kilometers that would be. So we're going to go ahead and multiply across and divide. So we're going to take 65 times 5. And then we're going to divide by this number, which is 3.1. And we get 104.839. So he's driving 65 miles every hour, which is the same as 104 kilometers an hour. Speed limit is only 90 kilometers an hour. So was he driving on, under, or over? He was driving way over the speed limit. That guy needs to slow down. Okay, last question. It says a tourist from Germany came to America and exchanged 250 euros and received $354. Upon his return to Germany, he had $50 left over. Based on the same exchange rate, how many euros would the tourist receive for his remaining American dollars? So right away, this one is not as hard. Basically, we can see our ratio right here. So he exchanged 250 euros and got $354. That's the if. So I'm going to start here with 250, and then I can put that little euro sign and receive $354. Well, right away, I know this has to be the euros over here, and then I know this has to be dollars over here. So we got back to Germany, and he has $50 left over. Based on the same exchange rate, how many euros would he get? So if he had $50 left over, basically I need to change the 50 back to euros. So if this is the same rate, we can then immediately find out how many euros there are. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the 250 times 50. See how I'm multiplying the diagonal numbers? I'm going to divide by 354. And the answer is going to be 35.5 0.31. The next number is a 0, but I'm going to round it up to a 1 because the fourth number is a 7, and that's high. That's it.